Right, welcome back. Today's lesson is continuation of circles. Lesson number 5, interpreting circle graph. Now, when it comes to a textbook, I believe this is textbook page 287. And when it comes to circle graph, sometimes people name it as a pie graph. We are breaking that into two different sections. One thing that I'm going to go through is basically how you can analyze, compare, and conclude a graph. The second part of the lesson, lesson number 6, will be about how we can create a circle graph. So have that in your mind. So let's see. If you look at a circle graph, I am going to create a circle graph. Actually, I need bigger object than this. Yeah, why not? Oops. So I'm just gonna create a better circle. Oh, what will be a good circle? Oops. Yeah, I'm just gonna use Captain America coaster over here. There you go. Way better. So when it comes to circle graph, actually before we getting into, it's a good idea to talk about material, I guess. I believe, like what you see, I need you to bring compass or circular object. And a ruler. Something like that. I want you to draw a circle and have a little point. And we're going to create a random circular graph that is included in textbook. So, let's see. Basically, on page 287, we have a circle graph that has green color, blue color, yellow color, red color, something like that. So I'm going to create those sections. I'm basically copying the graph that you see on page 287. There you go. So, as you may notice, I created a circle graph that you can see in page 287. Native Arts Program and Participation is a title. Is a title. So one thing that you need to understand that a circle graph have to have each different sector. sector is basically a section of a circle formed by two radii and the arc. And I'm going to explain to you what this arc and radii. Radii is basically plural version of radius, more than one. So if I think about this, the one that I shade, drawing and painting, those are basically known as sector because I have radius, another radius, and arc basically represent a part of circumference. This is the arc. So every sector basically have those. So this sector, drawing and painting, have these two, radius and arc. Bread working, radius and radius, followed by arc. Wood carving, radius and radius, followed by arc. Mask making, radius, radius, followed by arc. So as you may notice, you have to have sector. And each of the sector have to have a percentage. In this situation, I am going to create a quick example. It's not fully, how can I say, shown in your textbook. It is basically in on-class improv situation. Imagine this is a 27%, 15%, 18%, and I need to, actually it's probably a good idea to make wood carving as 27, but let's just figure out. I'm doing a little bit of mental math. What about making this 27% and make this 40%, something like that. In circle graph, you have to have sector, you have to also have percentage. That's a ratio. So what you see in here is an example of a circle graph. And one thing that you need to understand is when you total the whole ratio, it should add it up to 100%. Now let's use a calculator to figure that out. I have 15% plus 40%, 18%, 27%, you have 100. So if you have some percentage and if you add everything up, and if it's smaller than 100 or somehow not equal to 100, bigger than 100, that means you need to do something. So you need to do some modification. It is not a full circle graph. Now, how can I how can I identify the whole circle and sector? It involves a little bit of analysis, and that's what I'm going to do on the next page. Let's see. This page 288. There's an example, and I am going to copy that graph . Eating is given as a blank percentage, so I'm assuming it involves some calculation. Oops, I need to make it bigger. Of course, today's lesson involves interpreting. So we are basically using the graph that is already existing, but of course, it's not drawn in scale. It seems like 20%, seems like 10%. There is a way that we're going to make it better. But in either case, let's just do analysis. The title of that is Omar's typical day. 24 hour. So what you see on, and honestly, as you may know, drawing is not my major, fine art and all. I really encourage you to go to page 288 to do a better analysis. But in any case, school we have 30%, recreation time 20%, eating blank percent, sleeping 35%, homework 10%. That is basically Omar's day. Regular weekday. And we're trying to find out what activity does Omar spend the most, how many hours does Omar spend for each of them, and how much percent is, well, that Omar used for eating. So order really doesn't matter, even though it said A, B, and C. Let's do this question. Now, first of all, let's look at the percentage. If you guys remember my previous example, what was the total percentage that you should have? It is 100%. So if we get rid of rest of the percentage, so I have school, that is 30%, recreation, 20%, homework, 10%, sleeping, 35%, eating is what we try to find. So if we subtract every single thing, we can basically figure out whatever the missing percentage. Once you do everything, it turned out that eating is just 5%, which makes sense. Not a lot of people spend that much of time for eating itself. Now, the question also asks, okay, we have percentage for everything. That means how much hour does Omar spend for everything? So here's what we need to do. We need to do percentage work. And this is what we do. School work, let's talk about this as a first. The percentage is 30%. So that means if I convert that into decimal, 30 divided by 100, so that's 0.30. I want you to understand that this percentage is what we need to do in order to calculate. So number one, convert percentage into decimal. Number two, this is a step. Multiply by the total, which is, the total is 24 hours. So 0.30 times by whatever the total, in this case 24, will basically make the answer come out. 0.30 times by 24 hours give me 7.2 hours. That's how much Omar spent in school. If you think about anything else like recreational time, let's do that calculation. It is 20%. According to the graph, which means the first step, convert it, divided by 100, 0.20. Multiply by total time, or whatever the total. In this case, it's a total time. Depends on other example, it may not be a total time. 0.20 multiplied by total amount, 24. Now, next step, use your calculator. 0.20 multiplied by 24 equal to 4.8. That is 4.8 hours. Next, eating 5%, so we know that it's 0.05 multiplied by total time, 24 hour. 0.05 multiplied by 24 is equal to 1.2. What else? Homework. Oh, sleeping time, which is 35%, 0.35 multiplied with 24 hour. It provide me 8.4 hour. And the last one is, I'm missing something. Oh, homework. 10%, so 0.10, 24 hour, so it's 2.4 hour. That's how we interpret the circle graph. Percentage show relative ratio. That means which one is the most, which one is the least. You can visually see it. However, that doesn't necessarily show. So how much? In order to find how much, this is what you need to do. Like I said, first step, convert from percentage to decimal, which we learned a few chapters ago. Then whatever this value, multiply by the total amount. In this case, total amount was 24. So that's what you need to do. And ladies and gentlemen, that is basically today's lesson. If it's more than 24 hours, then of course this total number change. So read the question very, very carefully. Your homework to-do list. Yes, I want you to go to textbook page 290, 291. I want you to do number 3, number 4, and when it comes to the other part, number 6 and 7. That is your to-do list for today.